We're not supposed to be here. I know this may come as a shock to a lot of people or they don't want to hear it, but even Christians believe that they're going to receive their new body and go to heaven. And that's their goal, right? And they even say we're born into sin and this world belongs to Satan. And yet, when you say something like, we're not really supposed to be procreating and perpetuating humanity on this plane, they think you're crazy. They think you're crazy, okay? Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. Raising Chrism is what the Bible was talking about when they were talking about raising Christ. And what they're doing, what they're trying to teach you is physiology of your body, where you understand the vibration, the frequencies of the fluids that are in your body, and you understand that if you behave in a certain way, it's a slower vibration versus a faster vibration. And when you sin is a sine wave, and it's not harmonic, it's dissonant. So doing something that is not in alignment with life, which is harmonic, is considered a sin. And that's how we're born into sin, because when two people come together and have sex, and the man releases his semen, he is actually in a state of lust. He did not hold on to that semen and transmute it in his heart, vibration of his, the frequency of the heart, right? Which is pure harmonic resonance. He didn't do that. He released it in a state of lust, which is a very unstable and slow vibration, which creates a human being that has all kinds of fucked up problems that they've got to work through in their lifetime until they remember everything I'm saying right now, and they become liberated through that practice of learning to retain their seed or their fluids and not release it and not perpetuate the idiots that are born into this world. I'm sorry, but we're all idiots because we don't understand these things. The people that do have this knowledge are the ones that control the world, and they're the ones that practice these dark, satanic, sexual rituals. And they want you to have sex and be ignorant. They want you to continue this because they control this world and they get off on it. They love it. But see, no one wants to hear that. They want to hear that someone's going to come and save them and or make this a beautiful world where everybody has everything they want and they can continue to have sex and orgasm and eat everything they want. But those things are considered a sin. Gluttony is a sin because you're creating imbalance in your body. You're not supposed to be eating because you're supposed to be receiving your sustenance from the manna. You're not supposed to be jealous and vengeful and prideful and have sexual lust to the point where you release your fluids. This is all science. It's not just mumbo jumbo religion. Religion is what happened to the teachings when they took the teachings and they corrupted them and twisted them to make people do what they wanted them to do, which is remain in this world so they can control them. People do not want to hear that they can't eat or they can't have meat or they can't have sex because they think, well, I'm a good person and, we can't just stop doing what people are supposed to be doing. Well, you're not supposed to be doing it. That's the point. That's why we're sick. That's why we don't live very long. That's why we're mentally screwed up, because we're doing all the things we should not be doing, because we're told by the church that those things are okay, even though they contradict themselves, because it says in the Bible what the 7 deadly sins are: greed, gluttony, sexual lust, sloth, vengeance, jealousy, and pride. And there are more chakras than that. We have more energy centers than that are transformers of energy. 144. So knowledge is power, but it's nothing without wisdom. You have to know, you have to have the intuition and insight to know how to use this knowledge. And you cannot be afraid of letting go of this gross body in this material plane, because all of this is temporary anyway, and it's an illusion designed to keep you locked into this world so you can be played with. So here's the thing, you can still masturbate. You can still feel bliss from touch and soothing feelings like that, like even stimulation. But it's when you allow all that to blow a fuse and you do that, that's a problem. So the whole goal, and Tantra was even corrupted as well, because you've got so much misinformation out there. You need to be intuitive. You need to understand this, understand it, whatever, in a very holistic way, and not necessarily just believe everything you see and hear on the internet and in books, because there's so much information. A lot of these people are confused themselves. And I'm not saying I'm right about everything and everybody else is wrong. I'm saying if what I'm saying makes sense to you, then you might want to follow through with the practice that I'm talking about of refraining or retaining the fluids, to fast and meditate, and you will see the kind of difference that it makes in your life. You will see. Now, I'm trying to write a book, and what I'm focusing on is how the masculine, the male, was used to continue this cycle of creation so that we could all be trapped here. And then they blame it on the female. But the female already has a very balanced nature, and already has less viscous fluids that don't have any problem being cycled back up to the brain again. That's why a lot of women are more emotionally stable and have more emotional intelligence than males. And look up a study. I'm not going to try to prove that, but that's the truth. And so the males were they were pushed into the patriarchal mentality to try to dominate the feminine, stamp out the feminine, to create the imbalance. So they got all the women to keep having babies, keep perpetuating all of these idiots in the world that don't have this knowledge, and here we are. So, people think ascension is either Jesus coming from the sky or aliens coming from the sky or you floating up into the sky. None of that has anything to do with it. This is about consciousness and transmutation of your physical body. Either you make a physical shift in this lifetime, or you don't. But when you pass away, if you have this knowledge and you've done the practice, then you'll die consciously and you will go into the next dimensional plane of existence.